live streamed. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ربي اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي ثم بعد. Welcome, everyone. MashaAllah, for those of you tuning in online and for those of you here in person, MashaAllah, it's an absolute honor, an absolute pleasure, and an absolute joy to be here with you today to talk about a very, very timely discussion. How do you get outside your comfort zone? You know, we're still in 2023. How many of you are familiar with like New Year's resolutions? You heard about that in January, show of hands? Yeah, some of you. So along those, riding those coattails, one of those things that typically happens is maybe staying too comfortable in that comfort zone. And inshallah, for those of you tuning in online, this is a presentation for you. And for those of you tuning in here, by all means, we're going to have a wonderful, wonderful conversation about how do you get out of that comfort zone? Because that's where all the growth happens. It gets comfortable in the comfort zone, but all the growth happens outside of it. And again, I want to thank Sayyidah Khadija Center, Faith of Light Network, right here for providing this opportunity. MashaAllah, this is a community. In case if you aren't aware, if this is your first time tuning in or if this is your first time here, MashaAllah, they're trailblazers in the community. May Allah accept all their efforts in front of the camera, behind the camera. Ameen, ameen, ameen. And so allow me to share with you a quick story about how I, myself, Mohammed Maxwell Hasan here, took that leap of faith of getting outside the comfort zone and really yielding great results. Now, how many of you are familiar with TED Talks by any chance? Anyone familiar with TED Talks? Yes? Yes, some of you are. And for those of you online, type in TED if you heard of TED Talks. You see, one day, I was watching a bunch of TED Talks online, and it's great. You watch one after the other, but one day, I realized, I asked myself this question, wouldn't it be nice if you attended one in person? So I looked to my left, looked to my right, and asked, is there a TEDx near me? And the answer was no, there wasn't one. And so subhanAllah, there was this one phrase that totally encapsulated what this opportunity happened, which is this: if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. If opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. If you waited for someone else to do something, you'd be waiting a long, long time. So alhamdulillah, I was very fortunate to not only be the license holder and the MC of not just one, but two TEDx events, alhamdulillah. And so this is just a simple story to share that, the whole experience needed a step out of my own comfort zone, right? Personally, as something new. How many of you have attended like live conferences? Just curious. Anyone's ever been to conferences, events? Yeah. It's one thing to attend one. It's a whole another ball game to organize one. SubhanAllah. So the whole experience, you need to get the license, you need to get new partnerships, building websites, making new connections, raising money, sponsorships, thousands of dollars, getting the venue, all these sort of stuff, all that skills required to step outside that comfort zone. And so why am I sharing that with you? Because once you take that leap of faith, whatever it is, no matter what stage of life you're in, everything you ever wanted is outside that comfort zone, inshallah. So for today's agenda, I want to share with you the origins of the word comfort. It's a little nice twist on things to figure out a little flavor, so you will, just to kind of open up the conversation. Then I'm going to share with you some strategies from the Quran, with references from the Quran and Sunnah, practical things that you can take away. For those of you tuning in online, you're more than welcome to take notes. And for those of you here as well, happy to take notes as well, just to see, treat it like a buffet. Treat it like a buffet. All these strategies, you can pick all of them, great. If you pick one, that's also. And then last but not least, leave some room for some questions, inshallah. So let's begin with the origins of the word comfort. Now I have a question for those of you tuning in online, and for those of you here in person. When I say the word comfort, what's one word that comes to mind? Just curious, when you say the word comfort, what comes to mind? What's a word? Comfort zone. Okay, the zone. Yeah, that's one thing, getting in the zone. So comfort zone. Or anything else? Home. Oh, mashallah. Home is home sweet home. Yeah, so that's another area. Anything else from the sisters? Yeah, there you go. Safe zone. Mashallah, you're combining the two answers. I see you got zone and home. So the safe zone. There you go. Amazing, amazing. So that's you're knocking on that door. You're knocking on that door. But fun fact about the word comfort, if you study the roots of it, it actually originated in the late 13th century, so a long, long time ago, and it literally means feeling of relief when there's trouble. Feeling of what? Feeling of what? What was the word? Relief when there's trouble. Puts a whole nother spin on things, right? When do you feel relieved? Oh, phew. Right? Like imagine, okay, well, I'll give you a couple of examples, right? One example is, oh, the test isn't today. Whew, sigh of relief, right? What other examples are there when you feel relieved? Yeah? Moments, yeah, for those of you on, yeah, mashallah. You can see even when everything is steady, everything is good to go. So fair enough, when you feel relief when there's trouble, that's one way to look at the word comfort. When you're thinking about getting outside the comfort zone, you're after a feeling. And that feeling is relief, inshallah. And so let's get into the actual strategies, inshallah. Let's get into the actual strategies of how do you get outside your comfort zone. For those of you, again, tuning in online, you're more than welcome to follow along as we go. There's some exercises, there's some activity. You'll see it's practical, instantaneous, inshallah. So the first thing, okay, strategy number one, get clear about the emotion you're trying to overcome. Get clear about the emotion you're trying to overcome. Typically, when people say, I need to get out of my comfort zone, what they're really trying to say is that there's a certain emotion they're running away from. At the end of the day, as much as we like to think that we're logical, as much as we like to think we're people of reason, the fact of the matter is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put feelings inside of us. All right. And so if we're absolutely clear about the emotion you're trying to overcome, then everything works out. So what's an example that we find in the Quran? Well, subhanAllah, if you think about it, the very same dua I started off with Musa alayhi salam, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala records the dua, the famous dua of Musa alayhi salam, Rabbi yashrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatan min lisani yafqahu qawli. Moses prayed, my Lord, uplift my heart for me and make my task easy and remove the impediment from my tongue so people may understand my speech. How does this relate to our conversation about comfort zone? Musa alayhi salam was worried. His emotion, the primary emotion that he was facing, that he was really concerned about, is worry. He's worried that the message is not going to come out right. After all, you're going after the Pharaoh, the one who calls himself God, the one who controls all of Egypt. Here you are going straight to face, going straight to Pharaoh and telling him to his face, basically, you're not God, you're wrong. There's only one God, Allah. And can you imagine this? So, by the way, as a side note about Musa alayhi salam, this whole idea, you may have heard also been translated that expand my chest. You heard this before, right? Expand my chest, make it so that basically my words will become clear. When you're really stressed about a situation, you notice one thing about our chest is that it tightens up. You'll find this in kids, mashallah, there's some here, and you'll find this even with adults. For the little ones, for the kids, let's say you're going to the principal's office. Right? You know what I mean? Like it's tight. It's tightened up and they can't speak. Or let's just say you have an adult. The boss would like to see you. Okay. So the whole idea here is that Musa alayhi salam is trying to tackle the worry, right? And so with that, how can you and I now apply this? There's this, and this is for your reference, everybody as well. You're more than welcome to tune in afterwards to see what I'm talking about. Right here is something called the emotion wheel. The emotion wheel. So many times we may not be able to put words to our emotions. Unfortunately, you even see this breakdown even in marriages and relationships or work relationships. They cannot express how they feel because they don't have the words for it. So here's a tool that you can use. And I'll explain right here. Now, for those of you here, and I'll explain for those of you here. It has like 3 levels. Okay, in the middle, there's a circle. You can imagine this. There's a circle with basic levels. Angry, disgusted, sad, happy, basic level. You can call this level 1. Outside of that circle, you can call level 2, more descriptive, more specific. Playful, content, vulnerable, guilty. So a little bit stronger. And then outside of that, you got level 3, even more specific. Shocked, dismayed, disillusioned, etc., etc. So how you and I can use this wheel for our benefit is you can plug and play with this one thing, and you can try it out. I know for those of you here, for those of you online, I see a number of you, mashallah, tuning in. Great. What you can do is you can try this exercise right here, and for those of you online, you can try to figure this. The blank is this. My greatest discomfort is feeling blank when I blank. The first blank is the feeling. The second blank is what's the problem. So let me give you an example. My greatest discomfort is feeling rejected when I apply for a new job. What was the feeling in that example? Yes, that's what I'm talking about. So my greatest discomfort is feeling rejected when I apply for a new job. For those of you online, for those of you here, you want to take a crack at it. Just one example. That's all I need. My greatest discomfort is feeling this when I do X, Y, Z. Any examples out here? Think back to when are things really tough, when you're uncomfortable. Yeah, for the youth here, for those of you on, by all means. There's no wrong answers, right? What am I going to say? Your feeling is wrong? No worries, I got time. Hmm? You're all feeling uncomfortable now, aren't you? You're feeling discomfort. Let's get out of our comfort zone. This is a perfect example of this. My greatest discomfort is feeling shy when I speak up. Right? Let's break free from that. Give me an example. Give me something that you're uncomfortable doing. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Go ahead. Yeah. Talking in public? You mean public speaking? Yeah. All right, that's a good one. Talking in public. So public speaking. So your greatest discomfort is what's your feeling? What's the feeling you get when you speak publicly? You feel shy. All right, so let's put it all together. My greatest discomfort is feeling shy when I speak publicly. MashaAllah, congrats. There you go. See? Now that you have that right there, now you can tackle it. It's not just public speaking. It's not, you're feeling shy. Then you go deeper. Why do you feel shy? So why do you feel shy? Just curious. I'm going to put you on the spot here. It's good. You're getting out of your comfort zone right now as we speak, inshallah. Those of you who all know, you'll see it. All right, there's someone else. Yeah. You're shy to yourself? Oh, to mess up. Ah, okay, see, we're on a breakthrough here. So you're saying, oh, what if I mess up, right? Let me tell you a secret. The greatest speakers in the world mess up. I'll tell you, the greatest speakers in the world mess up. The difference is they keep going. They don't let it stop them, right? So look, I got something online. My greatest discomfort is feeling nervous when I enter a new place. Feeling nervous when I enter a new place. There you go. See, some people are afraid of traveling, but good on you, man. MashaAllah, that's the whole idea. Don't worry. And by the way, I'm a communication coach, so if you ever need help, I'm your guy. So, all right, awesome. So does that make sense? And inshallah, if you see this, you'll see the wheel. Putting words to the emotions really makes a big difference. So let's use another example. So strategy number 2. What do you do to get out of that comfort zone? You can learn about new topics. It seems odd, right? Just learning about new things. But believe it or not, subhanAllah, as you grow, you tend, or I find, like people tend to gravitate to certain fields and that's it. They only watch videos of a certain genre. They only read about a certain thing. They only watch, like the options get narrower and narrower and narrower as we go older and older and older. When there's a car mechanic, no offense to car mechanics out there, maybe all they do is study about cars and that's it, right? The feeling, the curiosity is gone. But the Prophet ﷺ, he mentioned something very special about this, right? Constantly learning. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ, he said, seeking knowledge is an obligation upon every Muslim, right? Ala kulli Muslim. Every Muslim, so that means you, that means me, that means those online, that means everybody should be able to seek knowledge that's worthwhile. I'm not talking about knowledge that's kind of like, how do I tie my shoelaces in 10 seconds? Like that's maybe useful in some way, but you know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, you want to seek new knowledge. It's part of our deen. Because those who know are those who grow. You know what I mean? That's the difference. Those who know are those who grow. So how can you and I use this practically now? How many of you watch videos on YouTube? Hands up. Hands up, up. Yeah, and those of you online, yeah, I can see. You're on YouTube right now. You better be saying yes because they're online, but on YouTube. So if you watch YouTube a lot, what are some videos you see? Cat videos. What else? What else is out there? Yeah. Avocados? Oh, you forgot. Okay, no worries. It'll come back to you. Sports? What kind of sport? Soccer. Yeah. Messi won the world for Argentina, right? Good times. What else? Anyone else? Any other YouTube video? Yeah. Basketball. All right. NBA. That's it. So now the reason I bring that up is because maybe if you really love basketball, all you watch is basketball. But did you know that there's actually different categories on YouTube? There are different categories. Watch, I'll list them out for you right now, just giving you an idea. The sense of what's out there. Autos and vehicles, comedy, education, entertainment, film and animation, gaming, how-to and style, music, news and politics, nonprofits and activism, people and blogs, pets and animals, science and technology, sports, travel and events. So what does this mean? Maybe you tend to stick with sports, right? You're saying, I want to watch soccer a lot, but maybe there's something else on that list you can check out and see, expand your horizons a bit. So from that list, I know it may be easier for those of you online, give me an example of a category you'd like to explore. So if you're online, you see a category, write it out. What's a category you'd like to try out and see? But for those of you here, is there any category from what I said? I know it was kind of an avalanche. What would be something new you're interested in to check out? Anything out there? Is it, how many of you would be interested in pets and animals, as an example? Yeah, there you go. What kind of pet would you like? Or I don't know if you have a pet. Yeah, you. Oh, you like a fish? Okay, that's great. How about you in the back there? You're not sure? You like all kinds of animals? MashaAllah. Be careful of a tiger. No worries, yeah. Be careful of those tigers. I don't know how people they raise those tigers. Allah knows best. How do they raise tigers? Yep. You okay? I heard two answers. I got cats and can't hear you. Oh, hamsters. Like those ones on the wheels. Yeah, those hamsters on the wheels. Well, that should be fun, right? It's nice and easy to handle hamster. I'm sure there's more to it than that, but fair. So there's the idea, right? What's the point here is that expand your horizons a bit. Try out new videos and YouTube shorts. YouTube categories are another way. If you don't like watching videos for whatever reason, it's possible. Maybe some would say, YouTube is a time waster or it's a lot of time I spend on YouTube. Here's another idea. If you really like podcasts, you like listening on the go, maybe you're driving and you're commuting or you're listening. There's this podcast called TEDx Shorts. TEDx, remember TED Talks? Being biased here. So TEDx, they have these podcasts. I think it's like less than 5 minutes or so. Quick ones, like bite-sized. You learn new things as you go. So another strategy is to open the horizons, use YouTube, use TEDx. So far, so good. Now, let's move on to the next strategy. Still a buffet here, right? The next strategy on how to grow out of your comfort zone, it's simple. Travel, travel, travel. Yep. Travel, travel, travel. Oh, I'm looking back at the chat here. Travel is one of the things that was interesting. Oh, there you go. Ironically, that's the next thing coming up. And another one was that I'm interested in learning about how-to and styles and education. Yeah, absolutely. So one way to grow out of your comfort zone is to travel. You learn new things, you grow. You'll see sometimes though, some people might say, oh man, like, a lot of travel is a problem. I don't have the money. My bank account, my wallet isn't big enough to travel. I'll share with you an idea on how we can remedy that. But the idea is that how many of you, just curious, let's say, moved here to Canada? How many of you moved here to Canada? Yeah, a number of you. MashaAllah. How many of you are born and raised here? Yeah, me too. So you see, it's different when you have different cultures, different backgrounds. And hey, for those of you online as well, and for those of you here, what countries do you come from? Yeah, go ahead. Pakistan. Same, and? Oh, you're born in Canada? Yeah, okay, mashallah. Canadians, welcome, welcome. And again, for those of you tuning in online, where are you? What's your ethnicity? Or where was your homeland, so to speak. Different cultures, you see totally different things. I'll give you an example. Alhamdulillah, I'm very fortunate that there's my mom right there, alhamdulillah, in the back. One of the things that when a number of years ago, alhamdulillah, we were very fortunate to go to Umrah. This is where you kind of see the good and not so great things of certain cultures. In Umrah, were you in Mecca or Medina, when we were in this taxi? Do you remember it? Was it Medina? Yeah, I think so. I think it was Medina, right? Yeah. So mashallah, we were in Medina and first time, okay, mashallah, brand new place. And what happened was sitting in this taxi for the first time, I hop in passenger seat. I look around and I'm looking, I said, what do you normally do when you get into the car? You need a seatbelt, don't you? Isn't that something, you know what I mean? You need a little seatbelt, I think. So I was looking for instinctively muscle memory, looking for that seatbelt. I grab it. I can't pull anything. I said, there's nothing here. I asked the driver, I said, driver, where's the seatbelt? Where's the seatbelt? You know what I mean? Like maybe it's on the ground. Like, where is the seatbelt? He looked at me. He gave $1 million smile. Never forget it. He smiled at me and he said, what seatbelt? And then what he does is he grabs the wheel, goes full blast, and mashallah, we were zipping past all these different people. Alhamdulillah, we made it safe and sound, but my God, no matter how many, I don't know how many du'as we made on the way over there. But different things, man, like in terms of this is one example, right? Where it comes to you see different things and you learn in situations. Now, even Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, he mentioned something very cool about traveling, which is it's a reward. There's an incentive behind travel for good purpose. Back in the day, scholars, you see people, they traveled for years and miles, and they don't have like the phone that's right here and I can search up anything. No, they had to actually travel for that. The Messenger of Allah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said, whoever takes a path upon which to obtain knowledge, Allah makes the path to Jannah easy for him or her. So you're on the way, trying to learn about the deen, you're trying to do good, Allah will make the path easy for you. So there is incentive in terms of travel. Traveling is something worthwhile. But now you might say to yourself, well, wait a minute. Again, money is tight. I'm worried about the virus. There's so many roadblocks. I can't leave my business. I mean, there's so many, no, like so many roadblocks. What can I do? How can I travel in this situation? Well, luckily I got an idea for you. When you travel, it doesn't mean that you have to go to a different country. When you travel, it doesn't mean you have to fly halfway across the world. You can do something called local travel, traveling within your city. I mean, I'm sure, how many of you are here in Mississauga, based in Mississauga? Yeah, most of you. And again, for those of you online, what city are you from? Let me know. You can type it in the chat. What city are you from? Because chances are, I'd be very hesitant to say that you've explored every single square inch of Mississauga. I don't think so. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure there are some hidden areas or hidden gems out there that you may not be aware of in your own city. And right here, there's a picture of, there was this park. I'll give you another story. We were in Square One. Square One, biggest mall here, right, in Mississauga. We noticed just by chance, somewhere, somehow, maybe Google Maps, I don't know how, by chance, we found that there was a park right beside Square One. We had no idea about it. Absolutely no idea. But subhanAllah, it's called Kariya Park, K-A-R-I-Y-A. Beautiful spot, nice and easy, right? Like there's a nice water and, it's peaceful. There were a lot of ducks that were in the area, right? And so families come in, the trees are blossoming. It's really nice. It's a nice area. So that just goes to show you don't have to explore far and wide, but at the end of the day, you can still travel within your city. So where do you want to go? I mean, curious. Anyone's here been to the CN Tower? Just curious. You have, huh? How many of you want to try to go to the CN Tower? Yeah. Be aware of the heights. I don't know if you're not into heights, then I'd be wary of it. But fair, it's an awesome experience. There's this little glass floor. I remember when I was a kid, we went on a field trip. On the floor, there was this see-through glass. You look down and you're like looking down at the city of Toronto. Woo, boy, make sure you pack an extra pair of pants when you're there, right? But mashallah, it's a fun experience. Point being is what? Travel. travel, and it doesn't have to be way across the world. You can just simply travel within your city. Go look it up. Look in your localities. So far, so good. So mashallah. We went through 3 different strategies. Just curious. Let's a little pause for a second here. Can anyone tell me what was the first strategy we talked about, or first idea? Yeah. Opening up. Okay. Yeah. With the emotion wheel, right? Remember the emotion? Saying you're feeling shy. So the emotion wheel is when they're putting words to the emotions. Okay. Second one. Anyone remember? What was the second one? Here, I'm gonna even go back here for you. Learning new things, right? Remember about YouTube, the categories and things like that. All right, and then number 3, what was the third thing we talked about? Yes, you got to travel, travel, travel. Does it have to be halfway across the world? You can explore your area right here in Mississauga. So great. So now let me hit the pause button again here. Just wanted to make sure we're all on the same page. MashaAllah, you all been very, very attentive. Alhamdulillah, so far so good. Just wanted to make sure we're talking about comfort. We're talking about the comfort zone and things of that nature. At the very beginning of this, we talked about comfort means the feeling of blank when there's trouble. Right? Little pop quiz here. Was it the feeling of goodness, the feeling of relief, the feeling of agony, or the feeling of joy? Hang tight, hang tight. And for those of you online, okay, yeah, I see it. You can type in A, B, C, or D. Okay. Give it 10 seconds. I saw a hand up, so don't worry. Comfort means the feeling of blank when there's trouble. A, goodness. B, relief. C, agony. Or D, joy. All right, go for it. You had your hand up. Relief. Yes, yes. I told you the whole other flavor, no? Like when we're talking about comfort, you're usually feeling like safety and security, but relief is a whole nother ballgame. All right, awesome. Got a couple more, mashallah, strategies for you. Again, it's a buffet. It's a buffet. Take it, whatever you like. All right, strategy number 4. This is an interesting one. When it comes to comfort zone, sometimes people talk a lot about intangible things. I want a big goal. I want to step out of I want to speak publicly. I want to do this. They think about the big things. But oftentimes when you look about, for those who really stay in their comfort zone, it's the little things that add up. Let me give you an example. The next strategy here is talking about notice your clothes. Notice your clothes. What do I mean by that? For some people, when they're really into their comfort zone, they absolutely despise change. You'll find that they even wear the same clothes over and over and over again. They just can't stand the idea of going out and shopping and changing up their style a bit. It's because they're too comfortable in their area. I know a guy, subhanAllah, he had the same sweater for 20 years. 20 years, the same sweater, mashallah. Take with, hey, the relationship that guy had with his sweater, it's a bond like any other, I don't know, the relationship he had with his sweater. Old is gold. I mean, some things never go out of style, but you might stop and reconsider and say, hey, you know what, maybe it's time to even take a look at the simple things. If you change up the way you look, even that could really make a big difference. Because when you look good, you feel good. And when you feel good, then you're more likely to do good, right? You feel good about yourself. How many of you ever, show of hands, ever looked at yourself in the mirror and went, I look good today. I felt it. Whether it's an event, none of you? How about those online? Yeah? Yeah, okay, yeah, you've ever had an outfit, something that you really enjoy? It doesn't have to be a suit or anything, but just something that you feel comfortable in. Yeah, exactly. Sisters, I don't know about you, but you look at yourself, you're like, okay, all right, I'm well put together, right? That's the idea. So even noticing your clothes. You'll find even in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about this. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala even makes mention of taking care of our clothes, ironically enough, in the 7th surah of the Quran. Right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about, O children of Adam, look at this. O children, Ya Bani Adam, right? Dress properly whenever you are at worship. Dress properly whenever you are at worship. The 7th surah, 31 ayah. So the context of this, as far as I remember, even beyond, it talks about not to go into excess, not to go beyond, and you don't need to have a multi-million-dollar suit or anything like that, not to go beyond, but at least dress respectably. Because sometimes you might find, even in the masjid, alhamdulillah, this is the house of Allah, and this is a reminder for myself and for us all that, when it's the house of Allah, when we are a guest, you want to dress your best. Right? You want to make sure you dress nicely, at least respectably. I remember there was this brother, one guy told me the story very quick. He was saying that one time there was a brother who used to pray Fajr, mashallah, may Allah make us among those. I'm including myself in this conversation. It's a very, very noble thing. He used to come pray for Fajr in his pajamas. All right, so he comes to the masjid, mashallah, tabarakallah, but he prayed in his pajamas. And so he prayed in his pajamas in the masjid, Salatul Fajr, and there's Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. The brother that's standing, sitting beside him, mashallah, Assalamu alaikum wa alaikum assalam. I'd love to invite you to come to my house for tea. I'd love to invite you to my house for some tea. And how many of you come from a cultural background where that's the norm? You like to come for tea, snacks, cookies, You might find this in Middle Eastern and South Asian cultures. And what happened was the man, he looked at himself, he looked down, and he said, I can't come to your house. I said, why not? Why can't I come? He says, look at how I'm dressed. I'm dressed in my pajamas. There's no way I can come to your house. There's no way I can come to your house. And what happened was the man looked at him, the guy who invited. He looked at him and he smiled and he said, if your pajamas are good enough for the house of Allah, then your pajamas are good enough for me. They're good enough for my house. SubhanAllah. And so if the pajamas are good enough for the house of Allah, then the pajamas are good enough for his house. So at the end of the day, it's just to be mindful for us, to talk about how the attire, how we look. People say, oh, we don't want to judge. Fact is that we do. Unfortunately. So what are some ways? What are some practical things? I got something for the sisters, and I got something for the brothers. Now for the sisters, I hear a lot where there may be some agony. I can't find clothes that fit. I can't find clothes, it's kind of tight or whatever, what have you. And they're seriously looking. They're looking at all the catalogs, looking at all the things, looking at all the places that try to find places, attire that suits them. And mashallah, there's just one place. There's a store right here based in Mississauga, and I believe there's online options too. It's called I Love Modesty. I don't know, have any of the sisters heard about this by any chance? You heard of this store? I Love Modesty, that's what it's called. I Heart Modesty, that's what it is. Now, again, I'm not sponsored, not affiliated with it. It's just a shout out. Because mashallah, they took the time to actually address this situation. So you're more than welcome to check them out, see what's out there, look online. In case if there's that agony, there's an option right there in case. That's there for you. For the boys, for the men. Now you might wonder, well, what can we do? Here's a resource I'm more than happy to share. It's a YouTube channel. Funnily enough, the name of the YouTube channel is Alpha M. I don't know, by chance, has anyone heard of this before? This YouTube channel, Alpha M? Well, the thing is about this guy, he's very eccentric, all right? He's very out there, he loves the camera, and he loves talking, and he's great at what he's doing because hundreds of videos about fashion advice, how do you take care, practical things too. Like he doesn't just give you theory, he gives you demonstrations. I'll give you an example, a couple of tips that I picked up from him. For instance, when it comes to suits, one tip is if you have a tie that has a design, make sure the shirt is plain. Or if you have a shirt with a design, make sure the tie is plain. Otherwise, if you have a design here and a design here, it becomes way too overwhelming. So that's one idea. Another thing as well, you may or may not be aware of, when you're looking for dress shirts, you know those numbers that you see? Have you ever seen, you know what I'm talking about, guys? Like the numbers, 13, 14. You've seen that? Do you know what that is? Yeah, exactly. Collar size, your neck size. Some people smell it. It's brand new information. So measure your neck. And if your neck is like, let's say 13 or 14, then you can adjust accordingly, right? So there's that. Even another idea is your tie. If you want to figure out what's the appropriate length of your tie, if the bottom of the tie hits the top of your belt, that's a good length. Sometimes it goes way too low and sometimes it's way too high. So these are just examples, right? Practical things here. Changing up your style, of course, remaining within the Islamic guidelines as much as possible is the way to go, right? It could really get you out of your comfort zone. You'll feel it, you'll know it. And again, easy example is teens. You ever see teenagers go through a phase? They start dressing differently, they start acting differently. So similarly, why not use that for our advantage? Look at your wardrobe and check it out and say, hey, maybe it's time not to break the bank, but maybe it's time for a change just to get out of that comfort zone. So far, so good. Can you give me a thumbs up here if we're okay? We got 2 more strategies for you, mashallah. And for those of you online, give me a thumbs up if you're enjoying this so far. Mashallah. Great. All right. Strategy number 5. Here's another one. Find comfort in rejection. I'm going to go back to your point before about public speaking. You're worried that I might say the wrong thing. What's the worst that can happen? You tell me. You get laughed at, right? Okay. People laugh at you when you make a mistake. You get up and you trip. Oh, okay. Then everybody's like pointing and laughing. Look at, what's your name? Musab? Okay, Musab. So you're afraid. People will look at you and they point at, Musab, look at him. Remember when he fell, or remember when he said this? You remember this, yeah? This is what you're afraid of. The thing is that when you try to find, it's ironic, right? Finding comfort in rejection is going to really make the difference in terms of overall life. You see, rejection is what people hate. They want to run away from it. I can't tell you how many brothers I know, heartbroken. They see a sister, a potential spouse, and they say, maybe, mashallah, she could be the one. X. No. Oh, my heart's broken. Everything is, what's the meaning of life? Oh, okay, this is one thing. Or the other, vice versa, right? Sisters are trying their best to find that special someone, and then lo and behold, gives her the cold shoulder. Oh, now she goes into spiraling into out of control. May Allah help us all, right? And this is not only this, like in the personal relationships, it can also go into jobs. How many jobs, and for all of us, you went into a job interview, you went through the hoops, you sent in your resume, sent in your cover letter, sent it all in, you went to the interview face to face, Salaam alaikum, or hey, how's it going? I'm ready for the job. And then they come back at you and say, thanks, but no thanks. Don't call us, we'll call you. Isn't that a fun experience, huh? When you get rejected time and time again. But one way to stay outside of your comfort zone is to find comfort in that. Because here's a phrase, if anybody is interested in knowing more about this, there's a phrase, subhanAllah, that really puts things into perspective. Rejection is just redirection. Rejection is just redirection. I cannot tell you how many times in my life personally where I did not get what I was hoping for, I got rejected because of XYZ. Because of that, it led me to a completely new path that, mashallah, worked out way better. Rejection is just redirection. You can look at the situation and say, it's woe is me, and throw a pity party for yourself. Or you can look at it and say, what can I improve on? How can I fix this? How can I improve? So even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives comfort to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. You see, the Prophet ﷺ, he's been given a task beyond anyone can imagine. The Quran is so heavy that mountains can't even handle it. So the Prophet ﷺ, the best of character, the best, the cream of the crop, the best, the best, the best, the best, 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 best. Even with someone like him, the best character, the best message, the best of everything, even him got rejected. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes mention of this, right? If you, O Muhammad, are rejected by them, so too were messengers before you. You think Rasulullah was the only one that was rejected? How about Jesus alayhi salam? How about Musa alayhi salam? How about Ibrahim alayhi salam? Talk about rejection, being thrown in the fire. What about Noah alayhi salam? He's talking day and night and only a handful of people. So it's not unique. Rejection, if the prophets were rejected, who are you and I sitting here to say, oh, I'm rejected, and you start thinking about it and replaying it in your mind in the next 20 years, you start remembering. Life goes on. And to Allah, all matters will be returned for judgment. So at the end of the day, everything belongs to Allah. So it's not it's not the end of the world. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is making mention, consoling, finding comfort. The Prophet ﷺ, he's giving his best. He's doing his best. He wants nothing more than for us to reunite in Jannatul Firdaus. May Allah make us among them. Ameen, ameen. And so the idea is, the prophets before you were rejected. So don't worry about it. Like, you're not off the rails. Don't worry. So finding comfort in rejection works wonders. And so if you'd like a strategy and what you can do, there's a TED Talk. It's called What I Learned from 100 Days of Rejection. So this guy, his name is forgive me if I don't want to mispronounce it, Jia Shang, forgive me. So Jiajiang. So just type in 100 Days of Rejection, TED, you'll get it. And the whole idea is, this guy, he wanted to build a thick skin. So for 100 days, on purpose, he would find ways to get rejected. And he would make note of that, make a journal out of it. Imagine you're calling, give me a restaurant. I don't know, let's say, imagine you're asking for, hypothetically assume like McDonald's is halal, right? Okay, so you call McDonald's. McDonald's, what do they sell? Burgers and fries. Imagine you start calling them and you're saying, I'd like some, give me some sushi. McDonald's doesn't have sushi, right? So imagine that. Like, imagine you're calling. What's the point of this? Is to build that rejection muscle. Hey, excuse me, hi. I'd like some sushi, please. No, you can't have it. Why can't I have sushi? Because we don't sell sushi here. So imagine this is one way. Okay, thank you. And then you move on. You go up to a random, what he did is, I believe he went up to a random stranger, asked him for $20. You random, imagine you're going outside, excuse me, can I have $20? No, I don't have $20. Okay. The point is that he got comfortable with no. He got comfortable with no. So many of us are uncomfortable with no, rejection, right? And so what he did is he chronicled his whole, he noted down his whole experience, and it's all up there, and he learned a lot. He's like, this is, ironically, the more you ask, the more you think people would say no, but the fact is people would say yes. So anyway, there's a TED Talk for you there, 100 Days of Rejection. MashaAllah. All right, we're at the home stretch here, alhamdulillah. So far, so good. Everyone in good shape? Yes? All right. Again, for those of you online, in good shape, mashallah, great, great, great. Last bit, last strategy here. How do you get out of your comfort zone? Here's the final advice. Help others with their goals. Help other people with their goals. Why? Because chances are, if you have a friend, or you have a family member, or you have someone that you know, or don't know even, they might be doing something that's outside of your realm of expertise. Mashallah, in the community here in Mississauga, there are a lot of real estate agents. MashaAllah, a lot of doctors, there are a lot of great people in this community. But the chances are is that if you're in real estate, for example, you might be only focused in real estate. So imagine you're in real estate and you find a brother who's, let's say, into plumbing. Completely different world, huh? Like, real estate and plumbing. And imagine you find that brother or sister and you try to help them out. You end up getting out of your comfort zone because now you're venturing off into a new field that you're not used to. I'm not saying to go out of your way and start becoming a plumber right off the bat. What I am saying is help them out a little bit, explore a bit. And the Prophet ﷺ, and then there's this beautiful hadith. I don't know if we take this to heart as much as we could. Because mashallah, I think this is the key to so much success that we don't even realize that it's right under our nose. We have a lot of sisters here, we got a lot of brothers here. If we can implement this right now, bada bing, bada boom, mashallah, life is going to be great. The Messenger of Allah ﷺ said, whoever relieves a Muslim of a burden from the burdens of the world, Allah will relieve him or her of a burden from the burdens of the Day of Judgment. So essentially, if I can help you fix your problem, Allah will help me fix my problem on the Day of Judgment. How many of us have even bothered to ask, what do you need help with? So many times people, they hear of self-help. Show of hands, any of you heard of self-help as an industry? You heard of self-help books and all that? I remember I heard it been put like this, is that there's a book section called self-help. Why isn't there a section called helping others? Because ironically, when you help others, you help yourself, mashallah. And so this is a prime example of this. And so what is the practical piece of advice today for us? You can try calling or texting one person. I'm not saying a million. All I'm saying is just one. Call or text just one person. Someone you know, could be a family, could be a friend, could be what have you. Just a conversation where you can just simply ask, what is your current goal? What help do you need? What's your current goal and what help do you need? I can't tell you how many times when I tried implementing this, subhanAllah, the overwhelming sense of relief that comes into that person's life is amazing. I remember asking this question to someone, and he was saying that he needed help with a certain job. And subhanAllah, he was struggling, but because no one asked him, then nobody would know. So luckily, I knew someone that was in that same field. I connected the two of them, and mashallah, they continued and life was easy. And so if we don't even bother to ask, we don't even open that door. Don't wait for someone to come to you and say, do you have problems? Mashallah, all of us here, no matter how old you are, mashallah, if you're just beginning life or you're in your twilight years, we all have problems. We all have situations, big or small. We all have something that we're going through. Do we take the time to ask even about it? Like if I was to ask, like how many of you, show of hands, how many of you, just again, we can keep it general. How many of you have problems with business? Not enough money, not enough clients, anything like that that's around? Okay, fair. How many of you curious? Some people, maybe how many of you find there's some problems with relationships, family situations? No? Okay, mashallah. So I guess it's problem free. Just curious, anyone have any particular problem? It doesn't have to be so personal deep down inside. Any general problem? Just curious. Because I'd be wanting to know, like, what's an example of who would like to share a current goal that they're facing? Is it starting up a new business? Yeah, okay, there you go. What's up? You want to be a soccer player? Okay, what help do you need? I know you need speed. Do you need a coach? Are you in a league right now? You are in a league? What kind of league? Just curious. I know of two leagues as well. SubhanAllah, I'm serious. I know two leagues that are into sports. If you need assistance, talk to me. I'm serious. Like I know people that can help if you already, mashallah, you're training and that's great. But if you didn't see it, he wants to be a soccer player. Good, mashallah, there you go. And I know people, man, if you don't know, you don't tap into it, then how am I supposed to know? How are we supposed to know? Some people, some sisters, you know what? I kid you not. There's in Jummah, for example, Jummah, how many thousands of people, mashallah, show up? Man, may Allah put barakah in everybody's life. I'm telling you, the guy or the brother or the sister sitting beside each other could be the keys to solving each other's problems. I know a person that was saying, oh, I need some help with painting. He needed some help with his painting. The brother beside him was a painter. Right under our noses, subhanAllah. Right here. If we don't ask, we don't know. So don't wait for someone to ask. You be the one to ask. How can I help you? What are you currently up to? Mashallah, you want to be a soccer player. You want to be the next Messi or Ronaldo or who's your, you know what I mean? You need some help? I can help you. I know people, you know what I mean? So if we did that for everyone, not asking, what can I do for me? What can I ask? Not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country. Ask not what your ummah can do for you. Ask what you can do for your ummah. And believe me, doors will start opening up. Only Allah knows. Inshallah. And so may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us among those who implement this idea of love, of trying to really make sure that we do our best to relieve the burdens of others. Because once we relieve the burdens of others, our own burdens will be relieved, inshallah. And so, oh, look at this, subhanAllah. We got a message on here online. What is the current goal? The current goal is to lose weight. All right, there you go, man. And so if you need help with that, I know there are tons of training, tons of resources out there available, by all means. So it's possible, see? Just ask. Just ask, and you never know what can come up. So you can start with your own family. You'd be surprised what you find. And inshallah, you'll be in good shape here. SubhanAllah. So I'm just going to run through the summary real quick. So let me just open all this up. Alhamdulillah, we made it. MashaAllah, it's quite a lot of information here, but alhamdulillah, I hope it's been beneficial in any way, shape, or form. Just to run you down the strategies. The first strategy we talked about was getting clear about the emotion. How can you implement it? Use the emotion wheel. Second strategy we talked about was learning about new topics. How can you apply that? YouTube categories or TEDx shorts. Another way to get out of the comfort zone is travel. You can apply it by using local travel, right? Like in your own city. Next one we talked about was noticing your clothes. It could be as simple as that. And the application is I Love Modesty and I Am Alpha M. Again, not affiliated, just shout outs there. The other strategy we talked about is finding comfort in rejection. There's a YouTube video, 100 Days of Rejection. Watch. And last but not least, helping others with their goals. How can you apply it today, anytime? Call, text someone, one person. How can I help you with your goals? What's your current goals? You'd be surprised what you find. And inshallah, you could be the key to someone's success. And inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will unlock something for you, not only here, but in the day of judgment. So the only parting thought I'll have with you all is that your comfort zone doesn't get bigger. It gets smaller. If we don't use it, we lose it. We get more and more comfortable. Days turn into weeks, weeks turn into months, months turn into years, years turn into decades. Before you know it, you look up at yourself and you wonder, where did life go? I remember when, subhanAllah, the pandemic first hit. Can you believe it's almost been 3 years? 3 years since the pandemic first hit, subhanAllah. That means if a baby was born 3 years ago and now that child is 3, walking around. Time is moving fast. We don't have time to sit back and relax and say, oh, I'm okay with my comfort zone. There's everything, your comfort zone maybe is here, but everything happens. All the growth is out there. And so if you and I take the time to not just get out of our comfort zone, but to find your uncomfort zone, then you're going to be in much, much better shape, inshallah. And so I pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala this has been helpful in any way, shape, or form, and that we all step outside our comfort zone so that we can grow. Because if you know, you will grow, and you will see things will improve, things will get better, because either you grow or you don't. And so If you ever like to stay connected, I'll leave this on. My name is Mohammed Maxwell Hasan, communication coach, helping out introverted Muslims with communication. So if some people, like you said you were wondering about speaking publicly. I deal with people of all fields. There was someone from cybersecurity, for example, et cetera, et cetera. The name of the website is called kalampower.com, in case you're interested. And that's what it's all about, because with speaking, you kind of have to get out of your comfort zone. And inshallah, if that's a goal for anyone here, more than happy to help. But mashallah, again, thank you, Sayyidah Khadija Center. Thank you, Faith of Life Network. Thank you all for taking the time out on a beautiful Friday evening. And for those of you online, thank you for taking the time to join us here. MashaAllah. Barakallahu feekum. Jazakallahu khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. If there's any question, more than happy to take them, either online or here. Floor is yours. Could be a question about here or about comfort zone. It's all good. Looks like she's got a question, huh? Okay. Yes, no? Okay, inshallah. All right. Well, if there's no questions, I'll be hanging out here. But for those of you online, by all means, more than welcome to keep the replay on. Inshallah, if you have any questions, you can leave it in the comments. And enjoy the rest of your day. Have a wonderful weekend. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.